A new mod called the Red Dusk was recently released, and today we'll dive into a brief history of its development, followed by a showcase of its features. The Red Sun shines. It had been less than 10 years from that fateful day, August 19th, 1991, when those tanks rolled into Moscow. Nobody knew that we would be changing history. Nobody understood the gravity of the situation at hand, of the unfolding events that would change the very course of Russia's path. The day that it all went down, and the week that followed, would come to define us, define our glorious union, define our situation for the foreseeable future. It was the August coup. Our forces had moved with great haste and swift prejudice. We couldn't watch as our glorious motherland died. We couldn't stand by and watch as it all came apart. And so we did as any reasonable men in our situation would do. We took charge of the problem at hand and we struck it down. Yanev was correct in many ways in his assumption of how it all had played out, how the August coup had been saving a grace, a last ray of sorts from the old guard of the Communist Party, how it had at least for now preserved the status quo of the Soviet Union. While there was no Stalinist revival, the Yanev regime certainly wasn't the most amiable, with Gorbachev's open arms towards the insidious influences of the capitalist imperialist West. Yanev and the old guard couldn't sit idly by and watch as the man of the little reservations walked all over the spitting image of Lenin's great experiment, the project to redeem the proletariat. And so the coup went through. And for the first time in Russian history, it seemed that for once, military actions had been progressed or regressed. The nation, everything stood still, as if the time itself had frozen around the nation. The reforms came to a halt, certainly, but Yanev knew a moderate hand was necessary to guide the course of the storm and prevent the total breakdown of the country, and seemingly it had worked out. Of course, that was what he had originally thought. When we had committed to the movement, when we had put our support behind the coup, we knew there would be consequences, some as dire as member states leaving, an economic shock, a political upheaval. But then and now, did we know we could deal with it all, one by one, step by step if need to be? And yet, here we stood, a nation hobbling along with one foot in an open grave, a red, not so vibrant as the triumphant revolutionary it had once been. Where was Marx's sunrise, our glorious red star?
The Soviet Union, once a formidable power known for its glory and influence, now lies in a state of disarray and ruin. The grand vision of socialism that once held together the vast territories and diverse peoples of the USSR has been reduced to ashes, with the remnants of its former glory scattered across a decaying empire. With the Soviet Union teetering near the brink of collapse, the situation is now on you, the country now standing at a crossroads. Bit of the Soviet gameplay on this. So let's begin. Just a little bit of playthrough. So I've already grouped up the divisions. So let's do the morning after. The morning after. It has been 83 years since Aurora fired on the Winter Palace, signaling the beginning of the Soviet era, and it has been 9 years since it almost ended. The catastrophe of the Soviet stagnation for the past 20 years culminated in Gorbachev's failed leadership, which in turn created an even bigger reaction that was the August coup of 1991. The fate of the Union hanged in the balance as only leadership of the GKCHP stopped it from falling over the edge, but now, 9 years later, the situation is no better than before, except now there are no more Yeltsins or Gorbachevs to take the blame. Alright, that sounds pretty cool. Let's do a little bit of stuff here. Alright, I'm not sure how that is relevant, but Ethiopia just launched a campaign against something. Alright, so the new... Oh shit. Okay, hold on. Alright, the new morning, new millennium. I'm just gonna put it up there. As the morning breeze of the Moscow's cold air fell on Semya's face, he felt as all the joy and smiles he put during the last week's celebration were nothing more than a distant memory. Soon the Moscow electric lamp plant, a building all too well. He knew all too well would be in front of him, and his desk job together with it. Nothing to smile and whimper over. Just another day at work. That was his trail of thoughts, and until a sudden, all too familiar voice broke it. And I am not gonna be voiceover in all this. That is way too much words for me for my caveman brain. So I'm just gonna let you guys read it. All right, you too, my friend. So I believe this is a like POV style. I'm not sure really. So all right, let's go a bit more into detail. So this is recruitment deployment. So unit limiter. There's a unit limiter, which is what it's what prevents snowballing in mods. I quite like that. It's you can see how motorized your ground forces is here, obviously. And yeah, it's pretty cool. You have about 200 units, a bunch of tanks, motorstrelkovaya, and a bunch of artilleriaskaya. Sorry if I'm butchering that. Any Russians, Ukrainians, or whatever here. Yeah, and decisions. I see decisions. You can build nuclear warheads. Gives you a nuke, at least one uranium. All right. You can also send rifles to MPLA if you wanted to. Guess we all know what the MPLA is. And we get limited conscription. Dmitry Yazov is our chief of army. And let's just unpause, see through a bit of the mod. So if I didn't mention it earlier, Vietnam. Oh, all right, I'm just gonna click that. Vietnam, Iraq, Yugoslavia, USA, and USSR, also South Africa, has content so far in this mod. And by the time I am doing this, they have done a few updates, so maybe there might have been new. They might have added new content. So now we're gonna do the rising dissidents after the status of the Soviet Union, the elephants in the room. All right. So to clear up some things, this is not how small the focus tree is. So like once you finish the focus tree here, a new one will pop up. So yeah, that's how it really works in this mod. It's sort of like TNO really, but I'm not sure if I can mention TNO now. But yeah, it's sort of similar to how TNO does it. Opposite Croatia, an old man, an older nation. Where was our red star? Hmm. All right. Oh, I can send stuff to Ethiopia. Yeah, yeah. Why not? Oh, a bad morning. Oh, they had a firefight. Uh-oh. That's not good. Alright, I'm going to send stuff to Ethiopia. Alright, well, that's about it for the showcase right now. Like, all this just going over the basic features and how the mod will play. Alright, have a good one, guys.